Hi, my name is Frank D'Alfonso. My presentation is on clean and sober. The table of contents. I will have the introduction, my movie review, counseling approach, my treatment, and the references. Introduction. Films can be utilized for both educational and clinical purposes by health professionals and trainees. It is critical for a therapist to figure out what's causing a patient's pattern of obsessive and addictive behavior. The theory and model of treatment might be selected after an assessment is made. Additionally, the client will require assistance in dealing with any unexpected events that may arise. A crisis intervention must be implemented at this time. Sobriety can only be achieved if clients are given the necessary tools and coping mechanisms. After watching and studying the movie Clean and Sober, my presentation will focus on how addiction can affect not only the character, but also the family. Clean and Sober, 1998. Film Daryl Poitier. A Philadelphia real estate salesman in his 40s is played by Michael Keaton in the film. Daryl is an alcoholic and a cocaine user who smokes daily. Daryl has stolen $92,000 from his employer's escrow account to fund his drug habit, according to court documents. He sees this as a minor violation and hopes to make amends quickly. He will do whatever it takes to obtain what he wants, no matter the outcome. Daryl is enraged and irritated by creditors and drug dealers who no longer obey his instructions. He wakes up next to a woman who has overdosed on cocaine after a night of drinking and drug use. Her transport to the hospital was facilitated by him contacting authorities. In the police's opinion, he should not leave town at all. Daryl's first move is to head to the airport and try to flee the city. His credit cards are maxed up, therefore he is unable to leave since his life is out of control. Next, he goes to the residence of a friend and coworker and asks if he can stay, which the buddy denies. Daryl is distraught and unsure of what to do after he goes. His attitude is self-centered, and he refuses to accept any responsibility for what occurred to the woman. For safety reasons, Daryl decides to check into a detox center after hearing an advertisement in the automobile. Self-obsessed Daryl is in denial and blames everyone else for his problems. In order to avoid being expelled from the facility, he only begins to comply with therapy and detox. He knows that if he's fired, he'll be in jail for the girl's death, as well as his employer's. Because he's seen the folly of his actions and is trying to correct himself, he thinks that his employers will not prosecute him if they discover him. Liars like Daryl are characterized by their tendency to make empty promises and rationalize their actions. Regardless of what happens in his life, he refuses to accept any responsibility for it. The counseling approach. Family Solutions for Substance Abuse provides explicit models of diagnosis and intervention for families, whether couples, teenagers, and their parents, or mom, dad, and the kids. The theoretical background on family systems will help you understand the context of the client's addiction and how it affects and is affected by other family members. Numerous case studies and figures bring expert advice and theory into the practical realm so you can choose the best strategies for helping shattered family heal. Family solutions for substance abuse are helpful remedial abilities and systems. They include getting reliance, getting together with various relatives, arranging objectives and agreements, managing family brutality, surveying inspiration, taking care of backsides, and finishing treatment. To function substance abuse grown-ups or teenagers and their families realize what elements assist individuals with making changes in their lives. A lot of our preparation in the psychological well-being and substance abuse fields focuses on learning different treatment models. Most substance misuse guiding projects, for example, understudies ought to be prepared to utilize such things as 12-venture draws near psychoeducational bunch treatment, intellectual conduct treatment, and backslide anticipation methodologies as the reason for their work with customers. The ramifications of such preparation are that utilizing these models will prompt change. Shockingly notwithstanding, an audit of the exploration on psychotherapy results recommend that the advisor's hypothetical model records for something like 15% of treatment. Clinical application in the substance abuse treatment field seems to check out using competency-based standards to treatment. In that capacity, it benefits from FitChime, the gathering treatment model average in most treatment offices, thus not requiring a broad change of the association structures agencies using to convey treatment. It additionally exploits the novel curative variables of gathering treatment factors that are of specific advantage to people battling substance abuse issues. The subsequent stage in the development of the methodology is to direct and extract trial of its usefulness. While there are calculated motivations to imagine that it very well may help treat people with substance abuse issues, there is at this point no observational evidence that it is. Working with the family. I'd like to start by doing research on Daryl. I'm going to start by speaking with Daryl, and the assessment process is a critical component. I intend to interview Daryl to learn more about this narrative, as well as verify that it is factual and truthful. Daryl is well known for employing defensive strategies, including denial. Daryl may not have made the connection between his issues with substance abuse and his drinking and drug use. It would be beneficial if you provide him with some educational pamphlets that include both information and open-ended questions for him to contemplate. That information will be taken from a variety of sources, and a pattern of his behavior is analyzed during the evaluation process, which will be explained to him in detail. To find out what the problem is, I will ask Daryl to determine how concerned he is about his alcohol and drug abuse. I will also need to know when Daryl's last use of chemical was. It's crucial to know when Daryl does the substances he utilizes and how. Finding out how if his substance abuse has resulted in any substantial legal, family, or employment problems. During the interview, administering alcohol, smoking, and substance involvement screening tests will be beneficial. Addiction models have a significant role in the evaluation and treatment of addiction. The disease model is the most used form. Due to an individual's accountability for their own future behavior and the necessity for spiritual assistance in the healing process, the disease model has a somewhat different twist to it than the medical model. Addiction is a condition that is mostly caused by lost control and denial of having the disease, and the therapy that necessitates abstinence. Drug addiction is viewed in the illness model as a chronic condition characterized by both loss of control over substances and a progression that ultimately results in mortality. This is a more human paradigm, and insurance companies are more inclined to cover it because of its openness to therapy. Alcoholics Anonymous endorses this point of view. According to Alcoholics Anonymous, alcoholism is a disease that affects the body, mind, and soul. They are not to blame for their addiction, but they are to blame for their future actions. Addicts join Alcoholics Anonymous by acknowledging they have no control over their drinking, which is step 1 of the 12-step program. In Alcoholics Anonymous, there is also an emphasis on higher power or spiritual solution, which is also known as a higher power. Problem and solution sequences. After completing an evaluation of Daryl, I discovered that he suffers from alcohol and cocaine dependence. He's in denial about his addiction and hasn't been diagnosed. Daryl's alcohol and drug usage has resulted in several negative effects, which prompted him to seek treatment in a detox facility. In the morning, he wakes up alongside a woman who has overdosed after a night of partying. Due to his substance abuse, Daryl has also embezzled $92,000 from his job. Daryl doesn't feel that his alcohol and drug use is to blame for these problems. He is a self-absorbed narcissist, arrogant and self-blaming. He blames everyone else for his woes as well as himself. Not adhering to guidelines such as calling drug dealers, being nasty to other patients, and not participating in group therapy has resulted in him being expelled from detox. After learning that the woman had died from an overdose, Daryl returned to the rehab once again to hide. He couldn't find the money to pay back his work. A diagnosis and treatment plan for Daryl were requested when he returned to detox, so I completed this examination. Family systems theory. The Adlerian theory is the one I will employ to help Daryl's treatment. Rather than emphasizing the negative impact from that past as on a client, Adler argued that a person's current behavior determines how they perceive their past. People make decisions based on social interests and attainable objectives. Daryl's beliefs about himself and his life can be questioned during treatment. Then he will be able to set goals that are beneficial to society. Having Daryl and I on the same page is essential. Family constellations and early recollections are all examples of useful strategies in this approach. As a part of my work, With Darrell, I'm aiming to challenge his negative views of himself, others, and the world by guiding him toward the achievement of personal and societal goals. If you would like Darrell to do a family constellation of remnants about his youth, this will help him become more self-aware. There's a possibility that this could challenge Darrell's sense of self-awareness and shed light on how this perspective is influencing his decision to use alcohol and drugs and engage in destructive behavior. Darrell established significant goals that can help him become more conscious. In addition, Alcoholics Anonymous highlights this point. The Adlerian hypothesis, like the disease model, has the same consciousness as Alcoholics Anonymous 12-step program. As a result, I'd advise Darrell to check into Alcoholics Anonymous, NA, or both. When it comes to Darrell's treatment, it is critical that I teach him how to handle a crisis so that he'll be prepared should one arise. A crisis occurs when a client is unable to use well-known problem-solving approaches and when an event or solution is simply too challenging. It is possible that Darrell will not be able to get respite from the circumstance since he is not able to cope with it. I could teach Darrell crisis management strategies, but he may not be able to use them due to increased stress at the time of the crisis. Darrell is more likely to be caught up in crisis because he isn't new to the rehabilitation process. Those who are chemically dependent tend to have a history of impulsiveness and significant mood swings. Darrell has a history of legal issues stemming from his thievery and the death of the woman he partied with and overdosed on his bed. In order to understand what a crisis is, Darrell will need help from others. The team early recovery refers to those who have been sober for less than 2 years. Darrell is learning how to live a drug and alcohol-free lifestyle, which can make him more aware of his surroundings and his own emotions. There are a number of ways this could impact his life. Role as a counselor is to help Darrell learn how to deal with adversity. Helping Darrell discover ways to calm down and get assistance from others and avoid using drugs or alcohol is my responsibility. Because of this, it is imperative that Darrell remain in therapy as well as in group therapy, NAA, so that he has those resources available to him. As part of crisis therapy, there will be preparation, implementation, and follow-up. To effectively treat Darrell, must provide him with resources and training he needs to deal with life's ups and downs. He has a long road ahead of him because this is his first time in a recovery setting. Darrell, he needs to be open-minded, willing, and humble in order to succeed. As part of his post-treatment plan, Darrell will need to engage therapy, group therapy, attend AA and NA on an ongoing basis. At times, I'm aware that Darrell doubts his own addiction and reverts to his old patterns to blaming others, refusing to accept responsibility and resisting. Made it possible for Darrell to stay sober if he sticks to the treatment plan. Addicts must take each day as it comes, but he is fighting a chance if he puts one foot in front of the other.